we can now start our Q&A session. Okay, Ken is always the first one.
Okay, I always begin the first question. Okay, you talk about the ecological crisis, okay? For us Chinese people, I think our culture tend to treat the other world, non-human world, as object of consumption. So we eat shark fin, and we eat abalone, and we eat everything, okay? Everything edible to Chinese people. So it's a reflection that we consume the non-human world for our benefit. That's part of our culture. So in this context, how do you talk to non-Christian about, the community of life? That, the sharkfish is part of our life, the abalone is part of our life. How do you communicate this to the general public? What's your suggestion?
Maybe first thank Dr. Hong Liang. I trusted him without understanding. I think the ecological crisis affects every human being on Earth. And therefore, planetary solidarity is and is for everybody understandable. For meeting this danger. The danger is universal, and every human being has a duty to save life. In the West, we have the order, God, human beings, the earth. In the Tao Te Ching of Chinese wisdom, we have the order, the divine, the earth, then the human being. And we have to learn Chinese wisdom of Lao Tzu to respect the earth as our mother. Tao Te Ching, second part. Okay.
This is a question sheet from Dorset or whatever, and it is written in Chinese, so I speak in Cantonese. And we have a simultaneous interpreter there. 點樣理解從絕望走向希望呢？點樣先至能夠活出人應該活嘅樣式？
And an old confession of the Orthodox Church in Aquileia, Italy. It says to Christ, tu es spes desperatis. You are the hope for the desperate. And indeed, the suffering Christ is the hope for suffering people. I had an experience in my desperation behind barbed wire in the prison camps after the war, and with Christ as the suffering Christ, would I not have hope and a yes to life in this dangerous situation.
關於可能你幫我翻譯啦嚇，即係講關於個生態危機嘅問題咧，我想問其實而家基因改造食物咧，其實帶嚟嗰個生態嗰個影響會係點樣樣？佢可唔可以講多少少點樣睇呢樣嘢
？She would like to know the genetically modified food and how would it, the GM food, the genetically modified food, how does it related to the ecological crisis? Do you have any comments on the, like, you understand the genetically modified GM food? Yes.
I am for natural food and not for artificial food. And my grandsons are Veganer.
Veganer ohne Eier. Mit Eier und ohne Eier. Ohne Eier. Ohne Eier.
Yeah. So the young generation returns to natural food and at a vegetarian basis. And this I found good. I'm too old to join them.
我想理解咧，想問一問咧，頭先你話我哋嘅human centre 係其中一個問題啦，就佢其中亦都係嗰個嘅係對於一個嘅 nature 嚟講係一個ecology 個 system 咧，都係一個 crisis 啦。呢個 human centre 都可能會就係或者就係都係 Karl Barth 所以之前所 deal with 嘅一個嘅問題啦。咁啊，想問問如果係咁樣嘅時候。如果係咁樣嘅時候，咁我哋我哋作為 human being 嘅時候，你最後問嗰個問題，究竟係我哋係咪 shall be 同或者係not be， 同埋呢一樣嘢係咪真係無論 shall be 又好，或者 not be 又好，係咪可能，同埋點樣可以成為可能？
He's asking about,
you
mentioned about the anthropocentric, is the problem of ecological crisis. But you also mentioned we should be, human should be, we should love life and survive. So he's like asking about the relationship between the two. At the same time we are anthropocentric, but at the same time we should be.
In the anthropocentric reading of the creation story, the human being is a ground of creation. In the ecological reading of the same text, the human being is the most dependent being. The human being presupposes plants and animals and day and night and the light and the crown of creation is the Sabbath on the seventh day. That is a famous examination question. Did God, according to Genesis, create the world in 6 days or in 7 days? Answer for yourself.
Just a moment. Yeah. Another question from the paper is about China. So, China question. When China seems changing from an authoritarianism towards dictatorship, what is the hope of being a Christian in China? And another related question is, I think it's a brother or sister from Xinjiang. I read it out directly. I was in Xinjiang, China for 1 year and have witnessed myself how the Uyghurs, I don't know this term, Uyghurs are being shut up in re-education. Oh, okay. Re-education camp just for being who they are when they have not done anything wrong. I have seen my Uyghur friend being taken away right in front of me and seen and heard their fear and despair. I appreciate a great deal how Professor Moltmann is emphasizing an affirmation of human life. I would like to hear Professor's opinion on what we can do to help these people who are in utter despair from government oppression.
I came to Hong Kong to listen to your answers of your questions concerning Christian existence in China. I have no answer. I'm curious of your answer.
Okay, maybe this is the last question from the floor because we've got quite a number of papers piled up here. Okay, so last question from the floor.
Professor Moltmann, and I would like to ask a question about the concept of time. As I know that you stress Christianity is basically eschatological in your writings of Theology of Hope. And here you propose that we should replace the linear concept of time with a cyclic time of renewable energy and recycling economy. How will you explain the change of your view of time?
You celebrate every year your birthday. I'm growing older and older. So the cycle, the return of the same day birthday is on a timeline. Is the linear concept of time and the cyclical concept of time are no contradictions. Spiraling we approach the future.
These two questions are related to economy, so I can combine them and present it to you. Dr. Moltmann, you talked about that social justice is a very important issue. In an unjust society, the problem of poverty may be better dealt with by means of public administration. How would you suggest us to contribute to solving our social injustice? To start from our position and existing social roles, or to do things radically and politically? Would you elaborate more on the exact actions we can take? The other one is similar. Professor Moltmann, you suggest in the lecture that one of the alternatives to poverty is community. I doubt the possibility of feasibility when in many cities the majority of resources are held or controlled by those who are less likely to join the community. Is this suggestion a bit too optimistic or even imaginary?
First question, each congregation of the church can organize self-help groups, and each congregation consists of many selves. So each congregation can distribute social justice. This is not high politics, but in the neighborhood, discover your neighbor. If you live in high houses, your neighbor is above and below, and left and right. Visit your neighbor and form Christian cells. And so in this ways congregations can distribute social justice. Here's a second question.
You suggest that one of the alternatives to poverty is community. I doubt the possibility of feasibility when in many cities the majority of resources are held or controlled by those who are less likely to join the community.
The rich people are isolating themselves in gated communities, and in gated communities they live by themselves. That is boring. Invite them out in the Christian congregation where they meet other people, and this is not optimistic. This is reality in many congregations I've visited in Latin America or Korea. Gated communities are golden prisons. You meet the same people everywhere, the same jokes, the same language. This is extremely boring. Okay.
These two questions are about the role of church. It seems that you haven't talked about the role of church in dealing with the crisis you mentioned in the talk. What do you think of the role of the church? The second question is a bit related to atheist humanism. Atheist humanism can also say a yes to life. What can a church uniquely offer to our world other than atheist humanism?
Come to the congregation on Sunday morning at 11:30 and I preach on the church, on how can the church work in these dangers. And Christian humanism is above atheist humanism. In the 19th century, the atheism was a protest movement against the state and the state church, especially in Russia. Today, atheism is no longer protesting against anything in Europe. This is a loss of religion, like a loss of music. You can live without music lifelong, but it is a poor life. And you can live without God until your death, but it is a poor life. In the last 70 years, we have more protest movements with God, but less atheistic movements of protest. Think of the liberation theology.
Before raising the other question, I would like to make a reminder to those in the Dorset campus, because our helpers need to collect the papers, so it will be the last batch for the questions. Okay. These two questions is about technology. How do you position ourselves? How do we position ourselves in the age of artificial intelligence, AI, which surpasses the intellectual level of human being in some perspectives? Okay, the second one. Do you think information technology is changing humankind in a positive or negative way? what do you suggest to solve digital divide among lessons? I think it's the problem of digital divide. Because some people can have access to the digital technology, but some cannot.
Ja. At the beginning of the modern age, Francis Bacon declared science is power. And before that, science means truth and wisdom. And we have to rediscover science as truth-seeking and not power-obsessed. We have scientific power and technological power enough. We lack the moral wisdom over the power, the moral power over the scientific and technological power. We will learn. New mankind will learn, either by insight or by catastrophes. The wise man, the wise human being learns by insight. The human beings learn by catastrophes.
These two questions are related to environmental crisis. Are you optimistic towards the present environmental crisis? Optimistic toward the present environmental crisis. And the second one is how can we have meaningful conversation with climate change denier? I think those they deny, we have such kind of climate problem, like some people from the United States.
Second question I have already answered. Wise people learn by insight. Not so wise people learn by storms and hurricanes and floods, by catastrophes.
Are you optimistic about the...
Yeah. I am hopeful, but not optimistic. Because I am a pessimist, I am an optimist. Optimism and pessimism are no categories to deal with the future.
These two questions are related to the modern trend of individualism. The first one, in an extremely individualistic liberal society, we face a serious community breakdown. How can we advocate and cultivate community solidarity for a just and caring society? The second one, in the modern world, there is a strong emphasis on pursuing individual happiness and individual identity, such as the gay movement, sexual revolution, etc. They also claim to be life-affirming. There are many forms of secular social justice movement. How do we as Christians view these secular movements?
Be critical and the best choose for yourself. This is the advice of the Apostle Paul. But I'm running out of answers.
Okay, this is the last question. Saying yes to life may be courageous, but it may sometimes be inhumane when the person is in extreme physical pain and living a life without dignity. So what do you think of assisted suicide, which may seem more humane and valuable for some?
High-aged people, they have Parkinson and sickness without hope for health. Choose to go to Switzerland to have suicide. I do not condemn them, but for me personally, this was never a question. 2 years ago, my wife died because of Alzheimer, and we never discussed suicide.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Moltmann, for your thought-provoking response.